Are all going to go to their backup cars, which is good news. We may get something of a field back here. Daryl?
Dario's visibility not the best.
No, literally at the start I couldn't see the walls to know which way the track was going. I could see the light of Shinji's car in front of me, but he wasn't getting out of third gear, so I couldn't get out of third gear. I didn't know where I was going. Literally, we're on tick over going across the start-finish line. I think we just need to wait the track drying up a bit before we go out there. I was lucky just to miss all this mayhem, but I don't know. Hope everybody's all right.
Do you think the single file made it worse or better?
No, that was the right decision, absolutely, because side by side had just been a massive pinball machine down there in turn one. But I think it was the right way. But I just don't think they realised the spray that the diffusers at the bottom of the car would kick up, as well as the tyres. So yeah, it just caught everybody unaware, I think.
Thanks, mate.
And that's exactly what happened. And we talked about it in the warm-up laps there, Bill, that there would be a plume. I think what happens is when you're on your exploratory laps and when you've been out in the warm-up earlier in the day and it's wet, that's one thing. But when you actually put all 18 cars together, you end up with a massive amount of spray.
7 doctors, 3 nurses, more than a dozen paramedics on hand here. That's with the kart series itself, but we'll be back with more after this. Cleaning up the mess here at the Honda Indy 300, but this is the least of our worries. Adrian Fernandez and Tora Takagi have been taken back to the medical centre. I'll tell you a little more about that in a moment, but first let's take a look at a couple of other angles of how this all happened. This is in real speed. Now, they were not going anywhere near the sort of speed that you would normally see at the start of a Champ Car race, but Neil, that is frightening.
That's right, and that's, I guess, the upside. I mean, these pictures are shocking. They graphically show you from Michael Andretti's car what happened as cars end up inverted and bits everywhere. It's everybody from position 11 down on the grid. Greg?
I'm with Paul Tracy. The conditions here, Paul, are getting even heavier.
Yeah, it's just worse, and it just took a heavy storm just for about probably a minute and a half, and you know, it wasn't really raining when we had that downpour just before we had gentlemen start your engines, and then the track is not really flooded, but we pull the water off the ground so much with the ground effects of the car that it just throws all the water in the air, and it just creates, it's like driving through fog. You can't see.
Are you making any changes to your car given these conditions?
You know, we've got our rain set up on it. I got through the accident, so we just have to wait and see what CART decides to do. You know, but with this heavy downpour, I'm sure they don't want something like that to happen again. So we'll just wait and see what happens. Thanks, Paul. Thanks.
Mark Osler.
Yeah, Billy, just down here on the pitch, you can see on that shot there the remains of Jimmy Vassar's car. And if you look over here in pit lane, this is just one of the many rubbish piles scattered along the inside of the safety fencing. Look at this, the front wheel just ripped from the tub of Jimmy Vassar's car. There's bits and pieces of bodywork there as well. Look at this. Looks very dramatic the way all the suspension components and everything are broken. The good thing is, and it's hard to believe I guess for some people, the car is designed to do this in a high impact situation. These assemblies absorb and dissipate a lot of the crash energy, and that's how guys are able to walk away from something like that.
Yes, I mentioned the rollover bar. The drivers are inside a safety tub as well, Neil, which is there to protect them once all that absorption of impact and G-force is taken up by the bodywork.
And there's a stringent set of rules that the tubs, which is the component that the drivers sit in, must comply with, and any manufacturer that wants to participate in the series has to produce a tub that is tested, safety tested. That's actually done in the UK, and it has to withstand a certain kiloton testing in order to be able to withstand these massive impacts. The Takagi Reynard looks to be the car that's taken the brunt of the impact here, but I was just thinking about it a moment ago. When we look at that replay, the significant thing is, and it sounds like a funny thing to say, but at least they were actually running reasonably slowly. In racing car terms, if that was if they were travelling quicker, that would have been you know, an even worse situation. But mind you, it couldn't be much worse than it is at the moment. There's a variety of people. There's Mario Dominguez, just wondering, waiting. There's a bunch of people being affected. Basically, folks, the second half of the field. Greg?
I'm actually down here with Mario Dominguez. Mario, they're working on your car. Will they be able to get it fixed? I mean, this has been such a tough weekend for you, hasn't it?
Well, we'll see if they can fix it. Apparently, the damage it's fixable, but hopefully they can, so we can get it going in the race.
Just talk us through for our viewers at home what that accident was like from your perspective.
Couldn't see anything at all, nothing. It was like being like totally in a blind room. And then I was going very slow because I couldn't see anything. and all of a sudden the track was just packed with cars. I had absolutely nowhere to go. I couldn't even brake. So I just hope everybody's okay.
If they can get it fixed, will you be right for the restart?
Yes.
Okay, best of luck.
Thank you.
Now the mobile medical unit is where Takagi and Fernandez have been taken. It started in 1996. Now it's a mobile trauma and physical therapy unit. It's part of CART's continuing safety efforts. $1 million transporter is used in the United States, but it's a state-of-the-art facility where they have advanced trauma and life support equipment. They can treat all kinds of life-threatening emergencies there. All the medical records of all the drivers are kept in files on computer, and medical supplies are dispensed from another computer-based network very similar to those that they use in hospitals. There are emergency nurses, I mentioned at least 3 that are on duty during the day. They have always 1 or 2 doctors around as well, and they're there for all kinds of incidents, but this is what they have to be ultimately prepared for. And thank goodness that we saw Tora Takagi and Adrian Fernandez in, well, reasonably good shape considering.
I still haven't got a final count here, Bill, but I reckon there's somewhere between 8 and 10 cars in total, and some of them are totaled, and if there's significant tub damage, then they can become write-offs, but we're talking about multiples of millions of US dollars worth of racing equipment that's gone and just completely destroyed here. Mark Osler?
Yeah, Neil, just while they've got this break in the race program, you can see the officials are going along and just topping up the fuel tanks to give them a full tank of gas. It's quite a painstaking or time-consuming process. You can see it there, just filling up these little tanks with methanol, and then they tip it in. You can see them shaking the cars to make sure, watch this, they just shake the cars side to side to make sure they're getting every last drop into that tank. Just out of interest, the fuel capacity or the fuel limit for each car in this race is 95 US gallons. I'm not sure what the conversion is in litres, but once you run out of the fuel that's in that overhead tank behind us, you run out of the race.
So, Mark, what they're doing is that they're effecting a complete restart, and they'll go back to the original fuel allocation and
out of the race.
So, Mark, what they're doing is that they're effecting a complete restart, and they'll go back to the original fuel allocation, and 85 US gallons is the total. 35 US gallons, or 133 litres, is the actual tank capacity in the race car itself. And but using fuel in a day like today is actually not going to be a big issue, obviously, because consumption will be down in these wetter conditions. That is the front of Michelle Jourdain's car from the Rahal stable. That's a Lola with a Ford engine on the back, front right-hand damage, in fact right down the right-hand side pod, the floor, all the electronics and radiator that's housed in that area. Another Toyota replay here. The leading group are well and truly gone, but then what happens is Vassar gets into Fernandez. Fernandez on the extreme right. Nakano just pinballs his way through this. It launches Takagi in the red and white car into the air and upside down. Carbon fibre, aluminium wishbone or chrome moly wishbones and wheels and things going every which way. In fact, one of the comments that I was going to make is that the wheel tethers that have been implemented by CART, I think they're also now used in Formula One, have worked a treat here, and they've actually stopped wheels from getting away. The debris fencing this year has been raised in front of those corporate boxes, which has also been a good thing. So all of the damage has been contained to the racetrack, and that's very important, particularly in lieu of what happened in Melbourne recently.
Another angle. And as Michael Andretti said, he was pretty much a passenger here. Now Darryl Beattie is with Kim Green, one of the team managers.
Kim, definitely not a place to be, nice place to be standing.
No, I tell you, for the amount of wreckage out on the racetrack, Michael's car is really not that bad. It's really suspension and stuff like that, but it didn't look like a good start. It was supposed to be single file. From what I saw, there was cars 2x2. Michael certainly came over the radio and said he couldn't see anything. Dario the same. So a little bit of a disaster here on the Gold Coast. Hopefully everybody's okay, and we'll have a chance now to get our spare cars out, and that's what we're doing right now, and hopefully everybody can have a safe start next time.
What about now with this rain even heavier? Do you think they're going to wait, or?
Well, I think they'll need to wait. It seems like the raindrops are awful big around here, and you just don't want one of these cars aquaplaning at speeds of 160 miles an hour, and we need to wait and have a safe race, maybe even cut the race a little short, but just to make sure we have a safe race. And obviously I think it's a compliment to the amount of work that CART's done over the years on car safety. these cars. If you look at Jimmy's chassis back here, that's had a big hit, and the main cell of where Jimmy sits is in good shape still. So, and roll hoop obviously held up as well. So he was probably doing 130 mile an hour upside down, so that's pretty impressive.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks.
They can reach speeds. Not that they would have reached a speed quite that high on the start, but they do reach speeds up to 300 kilometres an hour down that straight. As Neil pointed out, we're fortunate, in fact, that 200 was their limit on this occasion. Greg Rust.
Well, Patrick Carpentier, you spent a fair bit of time there just watching the replays. Has that cleared things up for you on how this unfortunate incident started?
Yeah, it's very difficult because the rain here. What happens is that if we race like in a place like Portland, it's a straightaway and it's really straight, so everybody goes wide open, and then when you see the corner or the light in front of you, you start braking. But in a condition like this, where the straightaway is actually turning all the way, the front straight is turning all the way to the first corner, so some of the guys couldn't see. I couldn't see. I didn't even know if I was going in the pit lane or on the straight. So I moved to the right to see the wall there, and then I passed a car and I knew something was wrong. I just started slowing down, and everybody just came flipping over, and we just couldn't see nothing. I couldn't see 5 feet in front of the car.
How are you, and what are you like in terms of a restart? Will you be in the spare car?
Yeah, we're going in the spare car. I got touched a little bit at the back, but not too bad. But we have to go the spare car. We cannot take a chance.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you.
Tony, difficult conditions.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I don't think people realize how bad it was. I was in the radio on the parade laps, and I said, look, I think we shouldn't start this race. We shouldn't start this race, and they made a decision. I know it's tough from outside to see, but they should listen to us a little bit more. And I'm not happy to see all damaged cars like this. Hopefully everybody's okay, but I don't think it's bad for the fans. But I don't think we should start this race right now. It's very critical conditions. The problem, we run so low to the ground that the cars aquaplane so easy, and then you can't see anything. I was third and I wasn't seeing anything, so I was thinking about what was going to happen in the back, and obviously I saw on TV and it wasn't nice.
Thank you.
The first 9 cars were able to clear.
I make it 9 cars on my count at the moment. Patrick Carpentier, Alex Tagliani, both from Players Forsyth, Jimmy Vasser and his teammate Michel Jourdain. This other view here shows on the Toyota replay that it's anything but a clean start, nothing like single file by the time they actually came down to meet the green flag. So the point Kim Green made is a valid one. Maybe some conjecture here as to whether that should have been, waved off and not started. So, but the starter has the call. But mind you, the trouble began further back, and further back in the field they were basically at single file. So, and there were certainly very big gaps. There was a huge gap, in fact, back to the second half of the field. Mark?
Just down here in pit lane, Neil, looking at the preparations here, isn't it incredible? This is Jimmy Vasser's spare car being set up for Jimmy to take the restart. Jimmy, in fact, has just gone to the medical team to check on a bump on the head. He was complaining about he had a bit of a hit, and they want to make sure that he's physically fit to race. But isn't it incredible, these race teams, how you can turn that car into a canoe, and within minutes they roll out a new one ready to go.
Well, we understand that Adrian Fernandez and I think Tora Takagi have been taken to the Gold Coast Hospital for further observation. I can now confirm that for you. Fernandez and Takagi on their way to hospital, so we can't tell yet the extent of their injuries, but we know that they were taken from their cars on stretchers, conscious. We'll have more for you, of course, as soon as it comes to hand. Teams are working feverishly to get some cars back out on the grid for the Honda Indy 300. 9 were taken out on the start of the race in the main straight. Now, Fernandez and Takagi have been taken to the Gold Coast Hospital for observation. We may have a race start within 15 minutes, and it may be shortened to 50 laps, but here's the Chief Executive Officer of CART, Chris Pook. Well, Chris, you've been spending a lot of time talking to the teams, a lot of damaged cars down here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is the day to be in the parts business, I guess. Yeah, it's pretty serious damage, but backup cars are coming out, and we're just going to see whether or not